Hello my yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach and welcome back to my crochet channel. Now this hat is our summer build hat. It has this fun bill on the front to keep the sun out of your eyes, and the stitches are open to help keep you cool. Now I stitched this up using the Sweet Roll Fruit, the cake yarn from Premier Yarns. I love that yarn. It's so much fun to work with. If you want to look at all the other colors, I'll put that link down in the notes under this video so you can go and look at all the wonderful colors of the Premier Sweet Roll Fruit yarn. Now, if you want to make this in a cotton, you certainly can. That way it would be even more cool. But this was a request from a friend. They wanted a open stitched hat with a bill that could be made for a man or a woman, and you certainly can. This can be a guy's hat or a girl's hat. It measures approximately 22 to 24 inches, and there's a little bit of play in there because this particular stitch is quite stretchy. And the neat thing about this is if you want to make this into a slouchy, you can add more length. If you want to make it looser, you can go up a hook size. If you like your hats a little bit snugger, you can go down a hook size. And those are fun things to know when you're making a hat. That's why I always say keep your measuring tape super close. Now you can find this free crochet pattern on my blog. And as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. And remember, there are extra notes and lots of pictures to help you. To make our summer build hat, you're going to need 3.5 ounces of a medium weight number 4 yarn. Now I chose to use the Sweet Roll Fruits. You can make this hat with just one of these cakes because they're 3.5 ounces, which is 174 yards. But if you don't want to make this in acrylic, you can make this in a cotton. Just make sure that it's a medium weight number 4 yarn. And also, sometimes cotton yarns can be a little thinner, so measure as you go to make sure that your stitches are staying loose enough, or it might adjust the fit of the hat. And of course, that's true with any pattern. You want to make sure you always have a tape measure within reach so you can make sure your tension is correct. All right, so you're going to need 3.5 ounces of any medium weight number 4 yarn. Now this one is stitched with this. This is the Guava Premier Sweet Roll Fruits, 174 yards, 3.5 ounces, medium weight number 4, 100% acrylic yarn. Now I have the yellow one out here. This is banana because it's just beautiful. Because y'all know banana is my favorite color. Not banana. Yellow is my favorite color. All right. But we're making our hat in this one today. All right. And if you look on the side here, you can see the way the colors flow. And this is a knitted swatch here. But they're on all of them just so you can kind of get an idea of how the colors flow. And I love how it looks on this hat. Now, I have some buttons out here because I thought I would add some fun buttons, but I haven't decided which buttons I want to add. I've got a lot of different choices here, and so I'm going to decide that towards the end of the video once I get finished with our hat. Okay, and you don't have to add buttons. You can add a flower. One thing I do suggest is if you're going to crochet a flower or something to put on here, I would do it with a solid yarn that matches because this is a busy yarn and you might lose that flower in with all the different colors. All right. We're going to stitch today with our eye hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. And I wanted to use the eye hook because it's going to loosen up your stitches just a little bit, because this is intended to be just a little bit loose fitting. But remember, everybody likes their hats to fit different. So if you want it to fit a little tighter, you can always go down a hook size. And if you want it to be even looser than this, you could always go up a hook size. And we'll talk about adjusting some of the lengths and things later on in the video. All right, and then besides that, all you need is your scissors and a needle for weaving in your ends. And you'll need that needle to sew on a button or two if you decide to use a button. So of course we're going to be starting up at the crown of the hat and working our way down and finish off with that bill on our hat. So we're going to begin with our slip knot. We're going to chain 5, join this chain 5 into a circle. And again, if you would prefer to do your circle with a magic circle or magic ring, that's totally fine, or some other way of doing your beginning circle. All right, we're going to go in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. This chain 3 will count as our first double crochet. And now we're going to stitch 9 double crochets in the circle. That way we'll have a total of 10 double crochets. Alrighty. You'll also notice that I'm stitching over that tail of yarn, and that's so I can gather that hole closed when we finish. Alright, let me count. I lost count. So here's our chain 3. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need to do one more double crochet. Then we'll join to our chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Now, before I go on to row 2, I'm going to turn this over and we're going to gently pull on that string to close up that hole. And I'm going to go ahead and weave this in. Now, you can wait till the end of your project to do this if you want to. I just like to go ahead and get it done. If you've watched any of my other videos, anytime I start with a circle, I almost always go ahead and close it up. But not always. I guess it's if the mood strikes me. Alrighty. We want to make sure that that is weaved in nice and securely because we don't want the top of our hat opening up. Alrighty. So, for row 1, we have 10 double crochets because our chain 3 counted as our first. Chain 3. Now for row 2, again, our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and we're going to double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. All right, and now we'll go into that next double crochet and stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. One and 2. 2 double crochets in each of our double crochets around, and then we'll join back to our chain 3, and again chain 3. We stitched a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3 and then 2 in each, so we had 10 in our first row and 20 in our second row. We joined to the chain 3 with a slip stitch and chained 3. Now for round or row 3, our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We're not going to stitch in that first one. We're going to go to the next double crochet and stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And then in the next double crochet, we're going to stitch 1 double crochet. And so what we're doing for row 3 is 2 double crochets in the next and 1 double crochet in the next. 1 and 2. One double crochet in the next, 2 double crochets in the next. So we're just alternating 1 and 2 all the way around. One, two, 1, 2 all the way around, and then we'll join back to our chain 3 and chain 3. We stitched 1 and 2 all the way around, 1 double crochet in the next, 2 in the next. So now we have 30 double crochets. I joined to my chain 3 and chained 3. All right, so our double crochet again counts as our first. we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. And so for round 4, we're going to be stitching what I call 2 and 2. 1 double crochet in the next 2, 1, 2, and then 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. And we'll repeat this again, working all the way around. And then we'll join back to our chain 3. Whoops, get in there. There we go. All right, so 2 and 2 all the way around, then we'll join back to our chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. I have completed row 4. We stitched 2 and 2 all the way around, 1 double crochet in the next 2, 2 in the next, all the way around. We joined back to our chain 3 with a slip stitch and chained 3. And so for round or row 4, we have 40 double crochets. All right, so now what we're going to do for row 5 is, again, our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet in the next 2, 1 and 2. So that gives us 3 double crochets, and then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in the next, 1 and 2. And so our repeat for row 5 is 1 double crochet in the next 3, 1, 2, 3, and 2 double crochets in the next, 1 and 2. All right, 1, 2, 3, and 2. So 1 double crochet in the next 3, 1, 2, 3, and 2 double crochets in the next, and we'll repeat this again, working all the way around, 3 and 2 all the way around, and again join back to our chain 3. I have completed row 5. We stitched 3 and 2 all the way around. So for row 5 we have 50 double crochets. We joined to our chain 3 with the slip stitch and chained 3. All right, so we have one more row of solid double crochets, and then we'll do that open work on the next row. So for row 6, we're going to double crochet in the next 3, 1, 2, and 3. And so our chain 3 counted as our first double crochet, and we stitched 3 more, and then we'll stitch 2 in the next. And so for row 6, we're stitching 1 double crochet in the next 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4 double crochets, and then 2 double crochets in the next. And so our repeat is 4 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 in each of the next 4, and then 2 in the next. 1, 2, 3, and 4 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4, and then 2 double crochets in the next double crochet. And again, we'll repeat this all the way around the top of our hat and join back to our chain 3. I have completed row 6, and we stitched 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 double crochets in the next all the way around. We join back to our chain 3 with a slip stitch and chained 3. So on row 6 we have 60 double crochets. Now on row 7 is when we're going to start doing our open work. All right, so what we're going to do, our chain 3 counts is our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet in the next double crochet. Now we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the next double crochet, and then we're going to V-stitch in the next double crochet. And our V-stitch is a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet all in the same stitch. All right, chain 1, skip the next, and then 1 double crochet in the next 2. 1 and 2. Chain 1, skip 1, V-stitch in the next. Chain 1, skip the next, and 1 double crochet in the next 2. 1 and 2. And that's our pattern for row 7. Chain 1, skip the next, V-stitch in the next. And again, the V-stitch is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Then we'll chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet in the next 2. And chain 1. And see how our pattern works? 1 double crochet in the next 2, skip the next, V-stitch in the next, chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet in the next 2, chain 1, skip 1, V-stitch in the next. So we're alternating those 2 double crochets with a V-stitch and chaining 1 in between and skipping 1 in between all of those sets. We'll repeat this working all the way around, and again join back to our chain 3. I have repeated this all the way around. V-stitch, chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet in the next 2, chain 1, skip 1, V-stitch in the next, chain 1, skip 1, and you're going to end on a V-stitch, and you're going to join to the 3rd chain there, or the chain 3, with a slip stitch and chain 3. And what this is going to give you is 12 V-stitches and 24 double crochets, or 12 sets of 2 double crochets. All right. Okay, now we're ready to continue stitching the sides of our hat. And these next rows are super duper easy. All right, so our chain 3 counts is our first, and then we'll double crochet in the double crochet, chain 1, and then V-stitch in the chain 1 space of the V-stitch. And again, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet is our V-stitch for this hat. And then chain 1, double crochet in the 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 1, V-stitch in the chain 1 space of the next V-stitch. And so you can see this is a really simple repeat. All right, so 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets, chain 1, skip that chain, V-stitch in the V-stitch, chain 1, 1 double crochet in the next 2, chain 1, V-stitch in the chain 1 space of the V-stitch, and repeat all the way around. And this is what gives us our open work on the sides of our hat to make it a cool summer hat. Although it does work great as a spring or fall hat as well. And if you live in a climate that's not real hot, it's nice in the winter too. It's really just an all-around fun hat. All right, so we'll just continue that all the way around and join back to our chain 3. I have completed row 8, and again we have 12 V-stitches and 24 double crochets, or 12 sets of 2 double crochets. All right, and so what you're going to do is you're going to continue to repeat row 8 for 7 more rows, and that's going to form the sides of our hat. All right, so we're going to repeat this row, which is row 8, for 7 more rows. Now I have repeated row 8 for 7 more rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now this is where you need to decide if the hat length is long enough for you. All right, and you can just grab your tape measure and measure from the crown of the hat. It's about 8 inches. Is that long enough from your crown or the person that you're making this for? And remember, some people like their hats longer, some like them shorter. At this point, you can add as many rows as needed. If you want it to be more of a slouchy, you can add more rows. That will make it a little bit longer and looser. Okay? All right, so after your 15th row, because 8 plus 7 is 15, we're going to only chain 1, okay? And that's because we're going to do a row of single crochet, and then we're going to begin adding the bill of the hat. So the way we're going to stitch the single crochets is we're going to stitch a single crochet in each of the double crochets. We're going to stitch a single crochet in the chain 1 space. But when we come to the V stitches, we're only going to stitch a single crochet in the 2 double crochets, not the chain 1 space in the V stitch. We'll do the chain 1 space between and both the double crochets of the next 2 double crochets. Then we'll single crochet in the chain 1 space, and then that brings us to the next V stitch, and we'll only double crochet in the 2 double crochets, not the chain 1 space. Okay, and that's going to bring the hat in just a little bit so we can have a nice fit when we add the brim of the hat. All right, so we're single crocheting in the 2 double crochets, single crocheting in the chain 1 space, and then single crocheting only in the 2 double crochets of the V stitches, and then the single crochet in the chain 1 space between. All right, and we'll do this all the way around and join back to that first single crochet. I have completed that row of single crochet, and you can see that it makes a really nice beanie on its own. But the request I had was for a summer weight hat with a bill. Now, if you don't want to add the bill, you don't have to. It's a super cute hat as it is. But now we're going to add the bill. We joined to our first single crochet and chained 1. That is, if you didn't tie off and weave in your end. All right, so to make the bill, what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet in the next 28 stitches only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 25, 26, 27, 28 single crochets. And that's going to be just about a little less than half the way around the front of your hat. All right, and then we'll chain 1. Now we're not going to stitch in the back side of the hat, only in the front, because this is where we're putting the bill. So we chained 1, we're going to turn our work, and we're going to stitch back 1 stitch in each of these 28 stitches. So we'll go right in that first one and stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 28 single crochets. One single crochet in each of those 28. I'm going to chain one and turn. Okay, so we're back on the front, and what we're going to do here is we're going to stitch the first 2 single crochets together. All right, so we're going to go in the first single crochet and pull up a loop. Then we'll go in the next single crochet and pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops instead of 2. Yarn over and go through all 3 of those loops. Then we'll just single crochet in each of the single crochets across until we reach those last 2 single crochets, and then we'll stitch our last 2 single crochets together like we did the first 2. We stitched the first 2 together, then we stitched single crochets across, and that brings us to the last 2 stitches, and we're going to stitch those last 2 single crochets together, chain 1 and turn. All right, so now instead of having 28 single crochets, we have 26 because we decreased by 1 at the beginning and ending of this row. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 26 single crochets across. One single crochet in each of the single crochets, working all the way across. So we stitched 1 single crochet in each of those 26 single crochets across, chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to do that decrease at the beginning and end of this row one last time. All right, so we're going to stitch the first 2 single crochets together, and then 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets, working all the way across our row until we reach those last 2, and then the last 2 single crochets we'll stitch together just like we did at the beginning. And you can see how that causes it to curve in a little, and it makes a really nice edge on our bill. So again, I've stitched across there. And now we're going to stitch the last 2 together again and chain 1. And so we started with 28 and then we went to 26, and now we have 24 single crochets. And if you look at that, you can see how it curves in just a little bit. And I'm going to take it and show you this way so you get the idea of how that looks on our hat. Doesn't that look nice? All right, so now we're going to stitch 1 more row. Whoops, got that twisted. There we go. And we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets all the way across the bill of our hat. And I think it makes a nice sized bill. It's not too big, it's not too small. But again, if you want your bill to be even bigger, you can repeat that a couple more times if you want to. I personally don't think it's necessary, but you might like a bigger bill on your hat. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and stitch all the way across this row. So I placed a single crochet in each of those 26 stitches, and I chained 1. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn our work, and we're going to stitch back across our bill, and then we're going to go around the whole edge of our hat. All right, so we'll go right in that first stitch, and we'll stitch right across the front of our bill of our hat. I have stitched back across, and now we're going to evenly single crochet down the side. All right, so you want to chain 1 and then go right in that last stitch so you have a nice curve on that corner, and then we're going to evenly single crochet the side here, and just try your best to not stitch in a hole. Make it nice and neat. And I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches there, and that works great. Then we'll go right in this first single crochet. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to place a single crochet in each of these single crochets, working all the way around the back of our hat. All right, and then we'll do this all the way around, and then we'll come back over here and we'll single crochet up this side and join to that first single crochet over here. All right, so I'm just going to continue working around the back of my hat, stitching single crochets in each of those single crochets. I stitched a single crochet in each of my single crochets around. And this brings me to my other edge of my bill on my hat. And so I'm just going to evenly single crochet up the side there, being careful to make it nice and neat. Trying to go in the sides of the stitches. And now I'm right here, so I'm going to chain 1 and join right to that first single crochet. All right, we'll clip our yarn. And we're going to go behind, grab that loop and pull it to the inside. And that'll give us a nice neat finish there on the end. All right, and then we'll just grab our needle and weave that in. There we go. I'm just going to come back over here. Whoops. Gotta fix that. There we go. And I've already weaved in my end in the center, and so all I have to do is weave this end in securely. And if you don't want to add any buttons or any embellishment, your hat's ready to go. But I do think I want to add a couple of buttons. I think it'd be nice. All right. All right, let's take a look at our hat, see how it looks. Here's our front bill. Here's how it looks from the side. And I really love it. I really, really love how it looks. But I think it would look really cute if I added a couple of buttons just about right here, don't you? So I decided to use these two buttons. This one is an octagon. This one's a pentagon. They're red and green. I think they look really cute on here. And so I already sewed the red one on, but I'm going to show you how to sew when you're working with open weave yarn where you have a lot of holes. It's really important, this particular step, to go in some stitches before you even put your button on. Leave a tail of yarn and make a loop. Okay? This right here will keep your button steady. All right, and then you can just sew your button on. Make sure when you sew it on that you're going through stitches and not the holes. Okay, and this one just needs a couple of stitches because it is decorative. It's not going to have a buttonhole going through it, but you do still want it to stay secure. All right, so I've got a little loop there. Let me pull that out. There we go. All right, and so it's real important that you stitch that on securely. And when you get to the back, just go up and grab that thread that we left up there. I always cut this shorter just to make it easier. And then you can just knot that in the back. But the key to sewing on a button securely when you have an open weave, crochet or knit or even any type of fabric is to go through the fibers of the stitches so that they're on there nice and secure. And I really like that. I think it's kind of fun, adds a little bit of funness to the hat. And it would look really cute with a flower or a butterfly or anything that you wanted to add on there. You know, just a little pop of fun. I think hats should be fun. So I really, really, really love how this hat turned out. And I hope that you'll love it too. It's super comfortable, Super easy, super stretchy, and again, it's airy and light for summer. And of course, like I said, you can make it in acrylic or cotton, but I really prefer these fruit sweet rolls from Premier.